Good morning everybody, and this is your DAX setups for today. So there you go, berry structure annihilated and broken. We had multiple ranges that were forming, and we basically blown that range to the upside. So that 25% probability of it happening has happened, and just want to get this zone of resistance in on the charts. So it's going to be difficult to put all the levels in, but this is what's going on. Now remember, we've said this many times, we spent a long time here around 18,135 trying to find support before smashing through it. Now you should get a rejection here. I mean, that is the logic, but as I mentioned yesterday, logic's out the window at the moment because everybody's in a frenzy for interest rate cuts. Okay, so to me, there's two parts to this. So the first part is that this looks like an exhaustion bar into a zone of resistance, and you'd be very wary of going long there, which I am. However, that's the picture on the higher time frames. What you need to do is start worrying about the lower time frames rather. You do have a crossover here and you're above the 150, so that's starting to get bullish. But remember, we've been up and above these moving averages for weeks now, basically since since May. So this is not something I'm going to pay too much attention to. The 3 hour is a similar kind of scenario. The difference here is we've got a crossover of all the moving averages. So I would ideally like to see, I'll put one more level in, I'd ideally like to see a pullback onto some structure, which will then give us the confidence to buy into this. So what we're seeing here, exhaustion bar, and then look at this, it's starting to spike channel or rolling. You probably see some head and shoulders forming or some kind of structure that's forming for a pullback, and that's ideally what we're looking for. We're looking for that pullback. Nothing on the hour either, and you can see the opportunity to buy. It was on the S&P 500. It was right before, like 15 minutes or half an hour before the data came out. Then it formed a structure, and then the data came out, and then we ran. So I don't think it would have been that easy to spot. And also just before data, I don't think that would have been a very wise thing. You see, there's the structure above the 150, but this big green bar could have been a big red bar as well. You just never know when data is coming out like that. So for me, I'd like to see a pullback. I think 18,136 and 18,088, 18,100 would offer the best opportunities. The other scenario would be that you run up to 18,297, bounce back, and either come to 18,214 or the high of yesterday or the current high of today. So those two fractals would come into play. So run, come back, reject this, and then start moving up. You would be wise, so I just want to get that level. Definitely would be a rejection up there, but then you're going to be very wise if you pick up the multiple tails that are inside this big zone of confusion that we've had, because it's going to be a rocky ride through it unless there's a big catalyst again, something like this. But I think what will happen is, mouse. So what's going to happen is bump my head here, pull back, bump my head at the next level, 18,343, pull back, bump my head at 18,390, and then 18,400 would be a good juicy target. That's one scenario. The second scenario is going to be, I do have a little gap down here. think that's the only one. Nope, there's one right down at the bottom here as well. There's a gap on the S&P 5 and a big juicy one as well. So the other scenario would be big up, big down, all the way down here, if there's some other catalyst that comes out today. And there's more data today, but it could also just be a Fed coming out and saying something silly, which would also drive us down. So pay very close attention to your levels. I think if you can get a decent inside bar, engulfing bar, pin bar off 18,136 or 18,088 or 18,100, that would definitely interest me for a long. You'll get away with a 100-point stop loss, and just below this 18,088 is a little gap. So maybe just put that on your charts as well, because that could also be something to pay attention to. So that's kind of my view at the moment. Pull back, looking for it to move the upside. Not sure I'll hold it over the weekend, but long-term portfolios, not so much on the DAX, but on the S&P 500, are looking, buy the dip, buy the dip. Don't stress about anything, just buy the dip. Anyway, that's it for me today. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you on Monday. Cheers for now.